And welcome to another Thursday afternoon lunchbox here at the K-Zone in Fitchburg at 105.3 FM and AM 1280. Coach Gannon here with Coach Connie.
Yeah, I'm back filling in for Winter Series co-host Bobby Catalini.
Yeah, he's down the Cape doing his basketball things today, hitting some games, watching some of the players that he works out. Good week for him. Good week for him. Diesel Dan on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Just hit me, Diesel. We got to have a new intro to the show. I mean, we got to mention Coach Connie's here. We got to mention you on the board. We got to mention Bobby C. This is all about a team.
Oh, we'll talk to Derek about that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Derek, the hierarchy about that. Hey, how about the weather? I drove in today after practice. We had an early practice. Went out 110 by Bromfield, out through Air, Lunenburg, came in the back way. All tracks were packed.
Well, and the indoor teams are practicing outdoors. Same at Doyle Field. I went by Doyle. There were many kids there, so I assume it might have been Leonard's there. I don't know, but
you're hoping.
Yeah, but a lot of kids out. It's going to be 50 this afternoon, 50 tomorrow.
Yeah, you're hoping. I mean, getting those good coaches, juggernaut teams are out.
Yeah.
We'll leave it as that. The teams that are out are usually the teams that have the powerful indoor track teams.
Yeah.
Hey, today, though, we have Tommy McCarthy calling in. He's the assigner, the commissioner in the Midwatch for girls basketball. He does summer basketball leagues. He's assigned at Holy Cross. He's been around a while.
Well, both of us have had Tommy many times throughout the decades.
Yeah, we have. He's a good. His son Ryan's doing a great job. His son Ryan is into officiating now.
And you had scheduled that prior to, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little later, and certainly with Tommy, the event of last night, which is getting a lot of media attention this morning, not only print media, but television and everywhere, an assault, alleged assault, until we know more. Investigations are ongoing of a referee at a high school boys basketball game last night. XL High of Boston playing at Cohasset. So anyways, that's gaining a lot of traction, as they say, I guess, in the media business.
Yeah, the referee got punched in the face.
Yeah, right in the face. We have some comments here from the police chief of Cohasset. So it'll be interesting to get Tommy's view on all of that. It looks like the Cohasset police, they responded immediately to the venue at Cohasset High, and the game was immediately canceled. The spectators left the building, and no further incident, it appears. But the early morning articles have yet to be updated.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of looks. It's like there's not much more in terms of new information. I think the only thing I've seen is a quote from the Boston Public Schools superintendent, who notes that the student may face additional discipline from the school as well, which is to be expected.
Absolutely, But, I mean, that to me has now gone to the next level. I went to a good game last night. I went to the Oakmont-Hudson game.
Yeah, overtime.
Overtime. Great win by Oakmont last night. Tough loss for Hudson. But with that, had two great officials, Chris Doobie, Jimmy Nato, two great officials. And when you're in the stands, and, sometimes, we were talking about it afterwards. When I sat with Freddie Lambert, old official when I first got there to JV. Remember how loud gyms were? Gyms would be loud. Kids would be kicking the bleachers, and they'd be yelling and screaming and whatever. That's gone, for the most part. You go into gyms now, and Freddie and I were talking about it. The old Fitchburg Holy. He brought up the old Fitchburg Holy Name games with Joe Walsh was coaching, and Grutch was it.
Doug Grutchfield.
You walked into the JV game and it was loud, and that was true for divisions 3, 2, and 1 back then.
Well, back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, that was standard across the board.
It was great. It was raucous, Now everything is geared towards the sportsmanship and sitting and applauding and shaking hands, and you can't kick the bleachers when another opposing player is shooting a free throw. It caught us last night because we talked about it afterwards. Paul House, Gary, Brian Willow was there, Bond, Steve Manguso. gyms are so quiet now that when somebody does make a comment, it echoes through the gym. Now, were they making comments like we were saying back in the 70s, 80s, 90s? Yeah, they were. But now they've become the focal point. And what is being said is now magnified over and over and over again in these gyms. You know, last night people were yelling things out of the stands. Everybody heard them. Not to the point where you had to get a cop over there, a site manager, an AD, but you're just sitting there going, why? You know, why? You know, and it's too bad. And I'm so glad we have Tommy calling in today. And we've preached this on the air, and I'm sure Howie's done it on Scholastic Sports Zone, the shortage of officials.
Well, that was the reason you wanted to get Tommy on when we spoke on Monday.
Right.
You had said, I'm going to look for Tommy or Jimmy Nato or
Yeah.
whoever might be available to talk about the shortage of officials.
And why people are leaving.
Right, and now we have a prime example.
And I'll tell you, too, driving home from the game last night, I was talking to Bobby on the phone. He's the soccer assigner for the Midwatch. One of his top officials, young kid, you know, I'm saying young, maybe in his mid-40s, said Bobby's all done. Didn't get into the reason why as much as saying, you know, I got family, I'm going in another direction, on and on and on. But now for the signer who's losing the top official, a guy you would put in to one of the big Groton,
Right.
Dunstable, Bromfield soccer games, he doesn't have that, you know, luxury anymore. People are walking away, good officials. I can tell you.
In all sports.
In all sports. One of the best officials in around here was going to step away this year until coaches caught wind of it and approached him about not stepping away, you know, because of the shortage. You know, and I talked about it in football. I was doing 4 games a week. Not varsity games, but 4, that's a lot.
No, and you talk to most officials now when you have them on a game night, and you'll say, "How is it going?" You know, the pregame talk as we always do, and we've been around so long, we know everyone, and they'll say, "This is my 8th, 9th consecutive night I've been out."
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have a game every night, or the other night I was at such and such, and I had the JV and the varsity.
Varsity,
game.
yeah. I was going to say that Chris Dion last year, another great official.
Yeah, I had Chris the other night.
He's he's like when you used to see Sammy Pollack, Sammy Maroney, Bobby Savatelli, you know, Pete Trainer, Pete Mina, Jack McMurray. When those guys would walk into a gym, you felt at ease.
Right, you just knew it was going to be a good game.
Going to be a good game.
They were going to have control of the game. Yeah, you'll dispute a call here or there, but that's the nature of the
And then you went out afterwards and you talked about it.
But it really is, it's a concern.
It is.
A national concern, too. It's certainly not just a Massachusetts issue.
Right. But I was going to tell you, so I was scouting Tantascwa last year, went down to Sturbridge, and Chris was there because his brother Scott's the coach. And we were talking, he goes, Tony, he goes, how about this? How unethical is this becoming? I'm doing 6 JV and then varsity right afterwards. So I'm doing 2 games and within 3 hours. And you know, some of the JV games can be high emotional and you know, up and down, and you know, you get a couple good JV teams. It's like doing a varsity game sometimes.
Of course it is.
So how many times can somebody do a game like that? And just say the JV game was in overtime. Then you got to go in, get a drink, sit down for 10 minutes,
And
come back out,
start all over again.
and do your pregame with who you're doing the varsity game with, and then go out and do it all over again. It's got to be taxing. And that's why I'm so glad we were able to, you and I, able to schedule Tommy McCarthy in, because I'm sure he'll get more in depth in this thing that's becoming a crisis. But for a player to physically assault an official, like I said, I think now we're at another level.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this all comes out. It's under investigation. You know, there's no doubt it happened. As we know, it's going to be on film.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually. I did see some things before coming to the studio today, and NBC Boston, Channel 25 had the first 20 seconds of the game, the opening tag.
That's it, yeah.
That's all that, so, but I'm sure, as we all do, you tape your game, so there's going to be video.
Yeah, I know.
But they already know they've identified the alleged perpetrator and 17-year-old by accounts in the Boston Globe today. And the tentacles go on and on and on. It is, we said, first of all, it could be criminal activity.
Yeah.
It's assault. It's the MIAA will certainly be involved. It's an MIAA scheduled event.
Yeah.
School, as Dan mentioned, possible.
Yeah.
Well, not possible. There will be disciplinary action at the school level, up to and including expulsion. I mean, you don't know. It just goes on and on and on.
Was it an isolated incident with the perpetrator?
Yeah.
I mean, or
We don't-
has he
yeah.
had issues before? This stuff will all
Yeah.
come out,
And
And then again, you get a young kid who wants to officiate, and they see that, and it's like, why? Why? I mean, nobody does it for the money. They don't get
No.
paid much at all. I mean, the older officials always said, hey, you guys couldn't have a good game like this if we didn't
right,
sign up to become
right.
officials,
I'll never forget when I was reading the stories this morning and watching the television and knew we'd be together. And I remember back when Coach Cataldi, one of the sportsmanship awards that we won
Oh, yeah.
in the 90s, and I remember it was up in Gardner, where the banquet was on Sunday night and everything. And his whole speech was, so the officials introduced Coach, and he went up and accepted the award on behalf of Clinton High. And his 5 or 10 minute speech was all about, we couldn't play the game without you guys.
I know.
And now without you gals.
Yeah.
You can't play the game without the officials. And that's one of the things guys like us, our generation, we always keep that in mind.
I know.
I mean, they're an integral part of the game. To the point where we tell the kids, I always tell the kids, it happened the other day, he had the wrong color on, and I told him, the official's going to make you take that off.
Right.
And I said, once we walk in this gym, the officials are in charge.
Right.
They're in charge. They're the boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, Coach, no, he's going to make you take it off, and I'm 100% behind him.
Exactly. I had a headband incident with one of my kids, and finally he said, well, I'm just going to tuck it up. I said, I'm not going to argue with him. I just went to the official, John Ramos, who played for me my last year at Clinton. He was a freshman. I used to bring him up. I said, John, do me a favor. I said, go over to my kid and tell him he can out. Coach, absolutely. I would do it even if it wasn't you. He went over and made him take it off.
Yeah.
He listened to him, but I don't know. I mean, you look at, and you talk to a lot of the older officials. Dale, great coach. Great football coach. He got into basketball as an official probably because he didn't want to coach basketball, but loved
But he
it.
wanted to stay in the game.
Stay in the game.
He was a great player in high school.
Yeah, 1,000 points
At Murdoch.
Murdoch. Yeah. But, there are reasons why those old-timers get into it. Maybe they couldn't coach and they wanted to officiate and be part of the game that they loved and enjoyed and so on and so forth. But, who knows? We get Tommy on the line now, which would be great. Hey, Tommy.
How are you, Tony?
Good. How are you? Hey, I have Coach Constantino here with me.
Hello, Tommy.
Paul, how are you?
I'm okay. How was your
Nice to talk
Christmas?
to you again. Very good. Yours?
Very well, thank you. Very good. Thanks.
Hey, we couldn't have timed it any better, having you on the show this week and then having the incident that happened last night down in Boston or down in Cohasset. It's just getting to be a little bit too much. What do you think?
It's absolutely getting to be too much. It's kids, it's parents, it's coaches, it's everyone. And the abuse that we take on a nightly basis borders on incredible sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Not so much with the coaches, at least not in my league. I'm fortunate. The girls' coaches tend to be sane and rational most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. But it's the parents.
Yeah.
You know, they think that their daughter is, is the next great thing, and I don't want to be the one to burst their bubble, but some nights you want to just look at them and say, "Hey, has Gino Auriemma called your house?" Because if he hasn't, don't sit by the phone. I mean, it's not going to happen.
I know. We were saying before you called in, Tommy, I was over in Hudson last night, Hudson, Oakmont. Two of the best boys officials were on the floor, Jimmy Nato and Chris Doobie, sitting there with a slew of coaches. And, the gyms are quieter today, so when somebody does spiel out, everybody can hear it. It's not like it's going to be drowned out by kids kicking the bleachers like they used to, or yelling a chant, or just being loud, just being kids like they used to be. But the things that they do say now become magnified, and you sit there, and like a couple people were yelling out at those two officials last night, and it's like, what gives them the right? But then you listen to what they say, and then you sit down, because you're scowling, but you're not writing a thing a mile a minute, and then you're thinking, a lot of times it's just individualized. It's because their son or their daughter might have gotten fouled and the referee didn't call it, or the person they were guarding turned it over or traveled and it really wasn't a turnover or a travel, and they just become so vocal, and it's almost like they're entitled to. And I know that
$5 to get in, and I can say what I want.
Yeah, exactly. But like even when I coached, there was a night in Clinton where somebody. This is going back, well, probably about 15 years ago, maybe longer. We had a parent in Clinton go crazy on Dale, and Dale just turned, grabbed the cop. He was escorted out. Case closed. Game goes on, nothing else said. We go out after the game. I think there should be more of that.
Oh, absolutely.
There should be more of it, and it shouldn't be, let's give them another break. I think the breaks with this are gone, because you can't find basketball officials. Bobby Catalini can't find soccer officials. Jimmy Bergenos and Frankie Craig can't find football officials. And baseball officials, and so Kenny O'Connell's having trouble finding softball officials. I think something's got to happen. It really does need to happen, because in the long run, the kids are going to get hurt.
Yep. With the old saying in our side of the business is, without officials, it's just recess.
It's true.
That's very good, Tommy. Yeah. That's coaches.
It is. And if you don't have officials, you can't have games.
Yeah. I don't know if you.
I've been at this a long time, as you know. 30. This is my 34th year in Hoopman. I just finished 39 in football.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of younger people coming up.
No.
We had a good sized class on our board for this year.
In girls basketball.
And on the IBO board in Worcester.
Oh, okay.
14 people took the test.
That's a lot.
Yep. All of them passed. All of them did very well on their own merit. A lot of them have really good potential. There's one. I'm not going to call him a kid, because he's an official now. One 20-year-old, couple of late 20s females, which is good for me as the girls assigner.
Yeah.
And after that, they're 40-something and up.
Yeah.
And the young people, maybe I'll become an official. Then they see this thing in Cohasset last night and go, really?
Yeah.
Why would I bother?
Exactly.
For how much? What did that guy make last night? If it was a varsity game, I'm not going to quote the fee, because next thing I know, I'm working a game and some guy yells from the stands, "You're not working hard enough for your X amount of dollars."
Exactly. Yeah.
But
let's just say it's not triple digits.
He ain't making a mortgage payment with it.
No. It's not triple digits, and it is just getting to be. I don't know. It's getting to be tough. It's getting to be. I don't know. I mean, you could probably say I don't know a million times, because no matter what gym you go in, it seems now you're almost sitting on pins and needles, and I'm sure you guys are running up and down the floor waiting, just waiting at the next stoppage for some buffoon to just yell something out and, criticize you. And, I'll tell you a quick story. My son Ian did some, not even an official, he just got done playing for Fitchburg State, and one of his old coaches asked him if he would do a couple AAU games, like third grade, fourth grade, whatever, And so I gave him a football jersey. He gave his friend Scout a football jersey, and they went out. Third grade game, first game of the morning, third grade game. Ian and Scout were ready to just walk out because, some guy sitting around all the other people will say, all of a sudden wanted to show them that he was an expert in basketball. And it was a girls' game, Tommy. And he went up. Ian goes, Dad, he went up and down us the entire game. And nobody said a word to him. We went over and told one of the people who were there running the AAU. And you know what the response was? Get used to it. So Ian went.
The reality is, and with all due respect to third graders everywhere, third grade girls basketball is literally herding cats.
Yeah.
So you're trying to keep it in play.
Yeah.
If you called every travel, the second game of the day would never start.
I know. But Tommy, it seems like that's now, it seems to be this way in the fifth grade, the sixth grade. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
My last AAU game, and I'm not going to downgrade AAU because it does have some value, but my last one, the moment we threw the ball up, this guy was on us. Sort of like Ian and Scout, just all over us. The game ends, his kid loses by 45, and it's our fault.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
My partner and I are in the corner of the gym with our last game of the day. We've made our whopping $105 for 3 games. We're just rolling in dough here. We can't even afford to buy lunch, but that's okay. We're changing. This guy walks by. He says, same guy. He says, nice job. I said, thank you. And he looks at me and goes, I was being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I said, you, sir, are not smart enough to be sarcastic. And as the old saying goes, that's when the trouble started.
Yeah. But, before you called in, I don't know if you were listening, but Connie brought up a great memory that we both had when Coach Cataldi, when Clinton, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Tommy, I just mentioned the time. It was in the 90s, and we had won the sportsmanship award at the banquet, the banquet, and everything. And Coach gave his acceptance speech, and all he did was talk about just what you had mentioned, that without officials, the games don't occur. And I think everyone forgets that.
Yeah.
That it really is there is much a part of the game as the people playing the game.
Yeah.
As far as for the game to occur.
Right.
And that's lost on everyone in this day and age. If I can ask you a question, Tommy, what do you hear from your college peers as far as what's going on at the college level? Maybe just in Worcester County, as far as officiating and any repercussions there.
They are strapped for bodies as we are. They go about things a little differently than we do. We give a test and do a floor test. If you want to rep college, you go to one of their camps, one of the assigners. They have a camp in conjunction with an AAU tournament in June or July, and you go, and it's basically a tryout.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I know guys that went this year for the women's side that got picked up on the women's side that I just shook my head and went, really?
Yeah.
I assign them games, but I won't assign them above the high school JV level because I don't think they're ready for a high school varsity game. But these guys are so strapped.
Right.
They're going to put them in prep school games and in some instances, very low level women's college game.
Yeah.
And
again,
and one of the things going on now too, even at the national level, because I know both myself and Tony get the emails. from the national level, they're looking for coaches, to referee other sports, like,
Yeah.
that they know, okay, if you've had a long career or you're involved in interscholastic athletics and you're a coach anyways, why not think about becoming an official in another sport?
Yeah.
Is that anything that you're in tune to, or
Yeah,
as
I
far
know,
as trying to recruit officials?
Mike, yep, always. Mike Dubzinski, the football coach at Wachusett,
Yeah,
Yeah.
referees lacrosse in the spring.
yeah. Well, that's what Tony's trying to get me to do, girls
Yeah.
softball.
Yeah.
And Mike absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
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 Loves the sport, loves the officiating. I'm trying to talk him into hoops, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Tommy, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Do you have the time? All right, thank you.
Tommy's good. I love when he gets his Irish wit going.
Oh, yeah, he is funny.
He's great at games, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Mark. When
Yeah.
he's doing a game,
yeah.
some of the comments he comes out with,
Yeah.
I mean, to coaches and everything,
Yeah.
they're
I-
priceless.
I was scouting Maynard one time, and some old lady was all over him. I mean, up and down. So during one of the time, well, I don't want to bring this up to him.
Oh, no.
During one of the time stoppages in play, he walks over, and the lady, fucking, she had to have been stiff. Tommy goes, "Hey, why don't you go home and feed your cat?"
Oh, you were at a game last year, and I want to say this. This was in right? Notre Dame Academy playing at St. Bernard's girls. Tommy's doing the game, and Notre Dame's winning big. They had a very good team last year. I think they would have been this year. That coach has gone on now. She went to a prep school. They're a young girl and everything, and but they're at 20-25. It's midway through the third quarter. You can tell they're going to win the game. She just keeps saying on. Tommy. Finally, he comes over in a foul shot. He said, "Coach, I've been with my wife all day long. You're on me worse than she is. This is my break. Will you calm down?"
Yeah.
It was. He had more to say than that.
Yeah.
But the whole theme was, he didn't have to berate her or anything, but
No.
he gets the point across.
I know. But, those two guys, I was like, Jimmy Nato and Chris Stubbe.
The two of them better. They're going to have district final games.
Oh, yeah. And they're getting crap.
Yeah.
Just enough so that the person knows he heard me and, on it. Now he feels good. I totally feel off on. It's like, when will it stop?
But part of it is, Tommy's right, what I call, we've talked about it in different meetings, unrealistic, you and I have talked about it a lot, unrealistic expectations. of
What's
parents.
wrong with just being on a
'Cause
team?
They think their kid's going to get,
Because
if he doesn't get 25 today, and so-and-so
Because his AAU
check
check didn't bounce. So I went through it with Ronnie Rojas when he played AAU, and his AAU coach, 6'3", couldn't
Trying-
dribble, and he was 97th out of 99 in the class, said he could be the point guard at UMass. He comes out for tryouts, all of a sudden he's with the guards. I go, "What are you doing?" "My AAU coach said I could go to UMass." I didn't want to say you can't spell it. I said, "Back down there with the forwards and the centers." And it got to the point I had to bring his mom in, who I had at school. And she bought into this AAU
15
thing.
seconds.
And finally, guidance brought out and said, "Listen, he's 97th out of 99. He's not going to UMass. He's not going to play basketball at UMass." Then they took another kid. Remember the nose guard we had? And welcome back to another high school Thursday afternoon lunchbox here in Fitchburg at the K-Zone at 105.3 FM and AM 1280. Coach Gannon here with Coach Connie, head basketball coach at St. Bernard's, and Diesel Dan Bolak, the voice of many things.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that's why I said that. You're the voice of many things. We have Tommy McCarthy on the line today. Tommy's the assigner for the midwatch. Tommy, how long have you been doing the assigning?
This is my 10th season. I took over from the late Pete Ducey when Pete passed.
Oh yeah.
I was his assistant for 10 years before that. And they asked me to stay on an interim basis because of when he passed. If this season was already on the books, and the signing had already started, so they said, we'll look at it after a year, and after a year they seemed to like what they saw because I'm still here.
That's good. And it's good for the mid-watch, too. It really is, because I know when my daughter played at Clinton, when I retired, that's why I retired to watch her. It was always good to see some of the officials that you knew some had done boys and they went to girls, and some had done girls and went to boys. Well, it was always nice to see them. But with that said, it's getting harder. And I don't want you to say this on the air, but I mean, there has to be times when and I know other assigners do it. You assign games, I don't know, 2 weeks, a month, season in advance, and then it gets down to, especially, say basketball, February, and you look to say, well, it's going to be a big game tonight. Geez, I better put 2 other guys on that game. I'm sure it gets to the point, because of the shortage, where you're moving guys around is maybe a better way of putting it.
You do make changes.
Yeah.
I like to think I have a pretty good handle on the league and what games need my top-level people and what games, we can move some people into. It's been done in the past. It was done to me when I was coming up. He called me one day and said, I've got this game here with you and so on it, and frankly, it's for see who ends up in last place in the division, and I've got this game over here with these 2 people on it, which is for first place in the division. Are you okay if I switch you to the game for first place? Yep,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And that taught me something, that, as an assignee, you've got to look at all this stuff.
Tommy,
Look at your matchups.
Yeah.
Tommy, Connie again. With your own schedule and you doing your games, how do you fit in getting to observe other officials? Especially the younger guys.
I make it a point that I get to all of it. If it's a 7 o'clock game, I'm in the gym by 5:45, so I can watch the JV guys and get a good assessment on them. I've also got my assistant, Mike Kimbar, who assigns a lot of the sub-varsity stuff. He does the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate in that I've got a group of guys that work for me that are willing to do the same thing.
Oh, very good.
That's good.
Guys like Kevin Johnston.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Reed,
Oh, yeah.
my son, and they'll go and watch, and they'll text me or email me after and say, hey, I just watched Tony Gannon do the JV game. He's ready.
No, he's ready to go home.
I don't think that's ever been said.
Hey, listen, I tried it. You knew this, Tommy. When I retired, when I was done watching Regan, I took the test. Myself and Jeff Hebb took it, and I bought all the gear, got my assignments from you. I got from you and Jimmy, and I didn't really know what to expect. Probably my 3rd game of the year. I'm down at Shepherd Hill, and JV game. No, it might have been a freshman game. I'm getting ripped. And this lady says to me, when we're putting the ball in play right in front of me, there's 15 people in the stands. This lady says to me, hey, why aren't you fair? You're not fair. And I didn't know what to say to her. And as I'm handing the player the ball, I look up at the scoreboard, and there were 7 fouls each, or 6 fouls each. And I pulled the ball back, and I said, I am fair. Look at the scoreboard. And I handed it back in, and then that made it worse. I mean, she just didn't let it go. And then I gave it up after a year, and then a couple of years later, I was able to get back into coaching again. But my point is, I coached. It's hard. It's different.
Yeah. Tommy,
Yep.
another question. Do you think, like Tony's example there in basketball, we're all right on the floor. Everyone's right next to you. They're right behind you. Do you see a difference in basketball as compared to the other sports from your experience?
Yep, absolutely. You're spot on when you say that everybody's right on the floor.
Yeah.
Particularly in some of the smaller gyms, like a West Boylston,
Yeah.
where you coach for a while.
Yeah.
there's what, 4 rows of bleachers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And that, and there's, if you got a size 12 foot, you can't stand out of bounds and not have your toes cross the line. It
That's
just
right.
can't be done. And, that, so you try not to hear everything, but some things get through.
Yeah.
And in football, like Tony, I wear the white hat on my crews, and I'm in the middle of the field, and everything else is just background noise. And even if a coach is yelling, just look over and go, "Well, his lips are moving. He seems upset, but we're going to move on."
Exactly. Yeah, he's not asking us where we're going after the game. That's for sure.
If he really wants to talk to me, he'll come out here.
Yeah. No, it is. And not to say the level of play is a little down, but I think it is. I mean, honestly, I don't see any more Megan Garys, Marissa's coming up through the chains in many gyms. You don't, and and it's funny. You look back when they played. Like you look at the banners. How's this? Go into a gym and start looking at the 1,000-point banners. I would say 50% or more were prior to AAU. I would bet. It's close. I mean,
I would agree. AAU, when I first started officiating, AAU was elite players only.
exactly.
And if you got asked to officiate AAU, it's because somebody thought you were good enough to handle elite players.
Right.
Now, if you got a pulse and a whistle, you can work AAU.
Yeah, and if your check don't bounce, you make the team.
Honestly, fellas, the pulse at this point is optional.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely true. If your check clears, you have a team.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
there was a guy down in the Worcester area whose daughter got cut from an AAU team, and he called AAU National, all upset. What can I do? And they said, "Start your own team." How do I do that? We'll fax you a form. You fill it out. Send us a check. You're in business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's that
I
simple.
had his first game, and they scored 4 points and a half. 4.
Yeah.
You got to work hard to score just 4.
Yeah, I know.
You got to put an effort in. And he had the nerve to come up to me and say, "I'm not getting any calls."
Or baskets.
I said, "Coach, you've got 4 points." He said, "Yep." I said, "How'd you get those 4 points?" He said, 4 free throws. And just, who do you think put your kid at the line
Yeah. Yeah.
to shoot those 12 free throws that got you 4 points?
Exactly. Yeah, it's.
Well, you did. Yeah. I said, "You know how many of those were actual fouls?" He said, "No. I said, none." The guy on the other bench should be the guy here complaining.
Yeah, exactly.
But he knows he knows what we're doing.
It's.
We're trying to keep your team from being embarrassed by being shut out.
Yeah. And Tommy, do you think, because you're around the girls and Connie and I are back around the boys, do you think that's why there's a lot of kids not playing the game like we used to have, freshmen, JV, varsity,
Yep.
cotton kids? I mean, some schools struggle to have JV boys and JV girls. That never happened. Never.
I've got 4 schools right now that don't have a JV girl.
Wow.
Wow.
And one of them, Marlboro High School, does not have a JV girl team.
Imagine that.
City-
I did not know that,
City
Tommy. That's
Marlboro. I didn't
amazing.
either.
And their girls program has always been very
Sean
good.
Mahoney's a great coach, great varsity girls coach there. In fact, they've gone to district final games not that long ago.
Yep.
Doesn't Marlboro run a system? Don't they run something like the Grinnell system where they've got like 15, 16 kids on their bench?
They used to.
Yeah.
They had to get a waiver from the MIAA to bring up 2 8th grade girls to fill out the varsity roster. Otherwise, they couldn't practice.
Wow.
Yeah, times
They
are.
couldn't go 5-on-5 in practice.
Yeah, times have changed.
And I've seen other teams that have dressed 7, 8 kids this year.
Yeah, and
And
here.
you just want to go, how do you practice?
Yeah, Tommy, and here we were, 2017, 16, 15, I was still coaching, three officials was going to become the norm in basketball, boys and girls. The games started to speed up. The officials are getting a little bit older. Well, they're lucky they get two now.
Yep.
How much times have changed in 7 years? They're lucky they get two.
And as a group, we're not getting younger.
No.
Tommy, did you lose many officials to the pandemic? As far as the mask, or no?
One or two. And the ones that we lost came to realize, you know what? I don't really miss it.
Yeah.
But then again, on the flip side, we had a guy like Tommy Casey who took the year, didn't want to work due to the pandemic, fair enough, and couldn't wait to get back.
Yeah.
All right.
I contacted him that summer. I said, "Are you back or not?" He said, I am so back. I'll go to Dayton if they let me."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting, I don't know. I mean, we're talking from the coaching end, you're talking from the officiating end, and I think we're both on common ground as far as, what needs to be done. I mean, nobody's ever gotten into coaching or officiating because of the money. I mean, that's a fact, and I don't care, where you are, what level you're at. The higher the level, the more time you have to put in. But when's it going to stop? I mean, even we're talking officials here, but even coaches they're having trouble finding. And,
Well, I was at Lunenburg the other night and was chatting with Steve Boone, the former football coach up there.
Yeah.
You know what he did last fall?
No,
He coached field hockey.
I didn't know that.
I did not know
I didn't know
that.
that.
Vaguely remember that in the back of my head.
Really?
I didn't know that either till my partner the other night was Kevin Johnston, who's the mid-watch field hockey assigner.
Oh, wow.
And
Kevin's
he
a
was
good
chatting
guy.
with Steve Boone, and the two of us were talking to him, and Kevin says, "You back next fall?" He said, "Yeah, I think I am." I said, "I enjoyed it." And with that, we had to leave, so we're walking to the locker room. I said, "Back where?" He goes, "Oh, he coached field hockey."
No,
He probably wishes he had coached it for the last 30 years.
yeah.
Right.
They didn't have a coach. His daughter was on the team,
Yeah.
and
Well, it is very hard. Excuse me, Tommy. It's very hard. Remember we spoke to Tanya Rich a couple years ago and other athletic directors, and they said it may not be difficult to find a varsity coach. You'll have a number of applicants, and then whether or not the time commitment and the responsibilities is something that they can really fulfill. But she mentioned at the sub-varsity level, it's almost impossible to find people. That can juggle their work schedules and everything else. And then they see the amount of time that you need to dedicate and put in. And they're not sure it's for them.
it seems to me, and you guys are on the inside of it more than I am, but it seems to me that it's similar to officiating in that the rank and file coaches has changed. It used to be all teachers.
Oh, right.
Right.
Officials used to be all teachers.
Yeah.
They could do the afternoon games, no problem. Well, the demographic on the officiating side has changed.
Yeah.
Most officials now are not teachers. They're people that work, 8 to 4, 7 to 3, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and I know because my wife and son are both teachers that the teaching ranks is thin.
Yeah.
They're scrambling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they can't find people.
I know.
My wife's due to retire at the end of the year, and that means probably 3 times a week someone says to her, "Please don't go."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. I really can. That whole education aspect where it was a teacher. If you were a teacher, you were a class advisor, you were a coach. If you weren't a coach, you were an official. Or to go even a step further, you worked the basketball games, you might have done the change, you might have collected tickets. That stuff is gone. I mean,
Yeah, my son did that at Millbury for their football games this year.
yeah,
He's now teaching in the Millbury school systems, and he was quote unquote security,
yeah.
and his job was to make sure nobody went on their brand new softball field. So he backed his truck down the track and watched a football game.
Yeah, Yeah, it's times have changed. But I'll tell you one thing. I mean, I know we talked a little bit about that incident last night down in Boston, but and Coach Connie was away from coaching for a while, and I was away from coaching for a while. Now we're back at it again, and we've said it. The kids don't change. The kids don't change to the point where they don't want to be there. It's why they're there sometimes, and how they got there, and who's putting pressure on them. And it's not like kids walk to practice today. Kids don't walk to practice today. It's different. It's a lot different. But when the game's over with, the bottom line is, you need the officials. You need guys coaching. I mean, Gary, our head coach in Neshoba now, he is not a teacher. So, they practice at 5 or 7 or 6 at night, whenever he can get there. He gets his week schedule. It's hard, and coaches might be a little bit easier to find than officials. I'm just saying that, Tommy, because you have to go online. You've got to take your concussion test, your this test, your that, and most everything is your CPR. You can do it online. The officials, when I took it that one time, I had to go to probably 7 or 8 at Fitchburg State. I think it was 2.5, 3 hours, and then you have meetings. They had meetings on Sundays, and I'm sure you guys have meetings, and that's what people who are criticizing you don't understand. You have your meetings. You bring up incidences and different things that happen on. Like I know the North Board up here. They meet on Sunday mornings. You have to take a test. You have to take a refresher test. People don't understand that, and then young kids get into it, say, why do I want to do that for X amount of dollars a night or a week? Or it's probably not worth it.
Right, and all the abuse you can handle.
Oh.
Thank you.
Exactly. And I didn't want to say that, but I'm glad you did. And it's true, and it's not just at varsity levels. It's not just at it's middle school. It's everywhere. And it's just, something's got to break.
I had to have a middle school parent escorted out of a middle school football game this fall. He refused to leave on my say-so, so I just brought the head coach out and said, here's the deal. He won't leave, so you either get him to leave or this game ends and you lose.
Yeah.
Simple as that. He said, what do you want me to do? I said, figure it out.
Yeah.
You're in charge.
And
Go get him.
15 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. 20, 30.
No, never.
No, and like, it's the norm now. It's becoming the norm. But Tommy, listen, we could go on, and maybe we'll hook up some night, and we will go on and on and on and on.
We could.
We have. Yeah.
We might need over it, but we could do it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, listen, thanks for taking the time and calling into the show. Best of luck this year. I know I've already seen you once at Neshoba, and I'm sure I'll see you on the road or somewhere again. And say hello to Ryan, and make sure you say hello to Kevin Johnson for me.
Yes.
I will. I will see him tonight. We're at Tohoto tonight.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
For that tournament. So.
Oh, yeah.
Tom, is Kevin still doing college?
No.
No, just the high school games?
Last year was his last year, yep. Now he works for me.
Oh,
I'll tell you, I remember when he did boys when you and I were young
Yeah.
coaches in
Yeah.
the 80s. He was good.
Yeah.
He was working in Shirley, I think, at the time.
Yep. He is retired from his full-time job.
He's a good man.
Yep, he is.
Yeah, please tell him we said hello.
Yeah, and I hope to see you.
Absolutely.
I hope to see you soon, Tommy.
All right, take care.
All right, thanks, Tommy. Bye-bye. Hey, Happy New Year.
Cheers.
Yeah,
You
bye-bye.
too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, we'll go to our last break, and then we'll come right back for the final wrap-up of the last wrap-up of 2022, my man.
Yeah, there you go. And we're getting some text messages from people.
Oh, well, I'll have to put my glasses on and read them on the break.
Alrighty.
From those two?
David said, "Oh, not only do we coach, we are the officials."
Oh, my God. Oh, Mark.
It doesn't seem like a real show without mentioning Gardner, though.
Oh, I know. And he's listening, too. Hey, you come on when we go on stage. Everything seems to go well. You grab the mic and say, it doesn't seem like it, whatever you just said, because we haven't mentioned Bobby was born in Gardner. Oh, then we'll get a text.
And we'll get some.
Yep, when we come back, we're only going to have like 2 or 3 minutes.
That's fine.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, there's some good stories.
Just go to carheaven.com to find out what your jumper is worth. Carheaven.com is angel approved.
You're right, though, Connie. Tommy McCarthy is, well, his son Ryan's a good official. He just does girls.
Yeah, really?
You know?
But it's still even though girls, it's still less than the boys.
Oh, yeah.
From what I see,
Yeah.
like when I go to girls' games. I mean, you still have,
Oh, yeah.
fans, but it's not as.
Yeah, it's not.
Usually, there's not as many spectators.
Definitely
for the
not.
most part.
We did a girl-boy night with Marlboro last Tuesday night. We had a varsity girls play, 5:30, varsity boys at 7. Varsity girls game, maybe 75, 80 people. Not including the two
Yeah.
teams that are waiting to play. Game end, all of a sudden the gym starts to fill up with boys. It's like,
Yeah, it's not.
you know, I remember doing it with Bernie, and we did we would do boys first, girls second.
We did the same at West Wales.
And then one night Bernie came over to me and goes, "We can't do this anymore." He goes, "Everyone's leaving the gym after the boys game. My
Yeah.
girls are distraught.
That's what happened. Whereas at least if the boys' game is second,
They're coming in."
they're coming in, so maybe the second half of the girls' game
Yeah.
has a crowd.
Yeah,
The same thing happened at West Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you wanted to give the girls equal billing or equal opportunity.
they played a feature game.
To play but
The 7
a
o'clock
lot
game.
of people would
No, they would leave. And I remember going over and I would make sure my players did not leave.
Oh yeah, the same with me. I said,
I said,
yeah,
"You
no.
guys, they sit to watch you. You're gonna sit and watch. Coach, I don't care. Don't coach me. Get over there
Yeah.
and sit." Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense because the parents, aren't they the same parents for the boys and the girls mostly?
Sometimes.
Depends if they're brothers and sisters.
Sisters, yeah.
Yeah.
And too, you don't get the teachers to go anymore.
It's not
You
the same.
I remember my end of my career, you'd have Grumpy, God rest his soul,
Yeah,
Joe
well,
Yetzko, Brian
yeah, they all
Camara,
go,
Jimmy
yeah.
Camara. Didn't matter if we were at Tingsboro or in Clinton, there'd be a group of
Yeah.
people who just followed the team
Mhm.
for years
Yeah.
and years.
That's great.
You had those parents at West Boylston, those
Well, yeah, no.
Goody's dad.
We had a great crowd.
My mailman's dad, he used to go to all of Connie's
Yeah,
games
yeah.
just because that's what he did.
West Wales, yeah.
And he loved it. And it was a night out.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
No, it's not the same. It's just. But AAU to it.
15 seconds.
Oh, hey, they're charging.
Dan, what do you have? A little hockey or anything on your?
Yeah, probably. It's like we were, I think, going to try to squeeze a couple games in, but we've been so busy with the move, we just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you're back to Bobby. You'll have Bobby next week.
Oh, yeah, he's
Back
coming
in
up
school,
next
yeah.
week because he's got stuff to bring to Freddy's to make some money.
You'll have to say that.
Oh, yeah. And welcome back to the end of the Thursday afternoon lunchbox here in Fitchburg at 105.3 FM. Coach, thanks for filling in for Bobby C.
Oh, I try my best during the summer series.
Oh, yeah. Well,
tough
it's nice to
replace
hear your
Bobby.
voice in the winter.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be here in the winter. Nice to see Dan.
It seems like everything went okay, Mark.
Yeah, Mark's good. I get to meet Mark
Yeah,
last
Mark.
week.
I mean, everything seems to have gone okay.
Doesn't seem like a real show without mentioning Gardner.
Oh, where Bobby was born.
Bobby's born.
Yeah. Good thing you brought that up. Bobby was born in Gardner. It comes up every show. Mark caught on to that.
Wow, very good.
Yeah, Bobby, you'll be back next week, and who knows what we'll be talking about next
Yeah, well,
week
you got the
here.
college football playoff.
Yeah,
Saturday night, you got those games coming up.
and you know what? This is the week, you do too. The second week in January. I know next week will be the first week, but that's where the teams in boys and girls basketball start to separate
Yeah, you start
themselves.
to see, yeah.
The 3s and 2s go to 7 and 2 or 6 and
Yeah.
3, and some 3s and 2s end up being,
Yeah, the other way.
3 and 5, and things like that, you know.
And
So
so far the weather's cooperated. We had
the
that one
weather.
Friday storm where
Yeah.
we lost. We had a game postponed, and I know other games. Some games were called off last week too due to
Yeah.
the icy conditions last Friday.
Yeah.
But,
You know, I was thinking if I had time, because I like driving the back roads, I might go up. I'd like to take a run up to Winchendon 140 today, and maybe I'll go by the Winchendon, the Murdoch track, and maybe they're outside today having a nice day, my man.
yeah. Well, we never got to that about track officials. You know, I don't know if they're running into the same issues and concerns that other sports are.
I heard there's an overflow of track. Everyone wants to do track. Well, we'll see. Well, we might get a text from you know who if he's still on the air, if he's not too busy. But who knows? But hey, good show. Diesel, who do you got? What do you got coming up for games?
I think we're gonna start doing our game of the week next week.
Basketball.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Here at the K Zone. I think we've got a game tentatively scheduled for next Friday.
You got to get that move done before you can settle down, huh?
Yeah, it's like we've been busy moving lots and lots of stuff at the old at my old workplace. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, Coach, you've got air
All right,
tonight.
yeah, we're out of here, Shirley.
Yeah.
Then we're off.
Great gym. That's a nice gym over there.
Yeah. And you have tomorrow
Fantastic. Tomorrow
night?
afternoon.
Fantastic tomorrow afternoon.
Down in Sturbridge. We take a ride down to Sturbridge. I'm going to give Mike Walker a call, see if he's
very
around.
good. Yeah, maybe you'll see him.
Bump into
Very good.
Mike, my old classmate. Mark, thank you so much for setting up again for us today. Diesel, hopefully the move gets done. And
Yeah.
from all of
Happy
us
New
to
Year,
all of you,
everyone.
Happy New Year. And stay safe. And hopefully talk to you all next week.